Zu uns gekommen ist Peggy Liu. Sie ist Gründerin der Gesellschaft Joint US-China Collaboration on Clean Energy, eine Gesellschaft, die sich für einen sino-amerikanischen Dialog zur Bekämpfung des Klimawandels einsetzt. Peggy, nice to have you here. Thanks for coming.
For having me, huh?
During your presentation here at the Congress, you talked about the work of the company you founded, the Joint US-China Collaboration on Clean Energy. What is, in a few words, the idea behind it?
Well, JUICE's main mission when we were founded in 2007 was to work with both US and Chinese government officials on clean energy, but really to completely change the trajectory of carbon emissions in China. Because we knew that China was going to overtake the US as the number one polluter in the world. And so how can we, being very, very strategic, focus on a few projects that would change the course of China and the greening of China?
Bringing US and Chinese negotiating delegations to the same table for a public Sino-American dialogue on transition seems anything but easy to outsider. So what is your secret to convince these participants?
You know, I think the best things in life are when you don't think too much and it happens by accident. And so in 2006, my intention was actually to create the MIT Forum on the Future of Energy in China, which would be the first world-class clean tech investment conference for China. I didn't realize at the time that this was going to be the first public dialogues between the two countries. Who would know that in 2007, we're still that far away from programmatic collaboration? And so during the dialogues, during this conference, they said we have 60 memorandums of understanding between the two countries and nothing positive to show for it. So clearly there's something missing in programmatic collaboration. So they said, Peggy, could you start an NGO, a non-governmental organization that was supported by both countries but not handicapped by being part of the government? So the next day I left my job as a VC, as an early stage venture capitalist, and I committed 10 years of my life to try and get China on a green path. And so that's what I did.
If we look at the tone between the two presidents, Joe Biden and Xi Jinping, it has become noticeably harsher the last days. Yeah, especially regarding the future of Taiwan. This doesn't really seem to worry you.
Well, it does worry me. It's not that it doesn't worry me. And in fact, I would say even in 2010, I noticed a remarkable shift in tone from let's try to figure out how to work together to being really suspicious and in an alarming way, even in 2010. With this administration, with all the new geopolitics, I am afraid that China is being backed into a corner, a narrative corner, that isn't really looking deeper into the nuance of a very long history of China and how far it is planning to go in the future towards more green common prosperity. And so I think what's missing is the opportunity to learn from how China has changed so much for the better in such a short amount of time, 30 years really. It's changed from going from nothing, rural, to urban, from coal only to the clean tech leader, from a very basic grid to a smart grid. And so there are things that we can learn from anybody, I think. You know, no matter how young or old, what color you are, what country you're from, I think there's something that we can learn from each other. And so my hope is to be a cultural bridge. Me, myself, and then all the people that I work with are cultural bridges to try and do that code switching that is necessary for programmatic collaboration. Because this is one planet that we're living on. We're all connected, no matter what we want to say. The nation-state boundary is a false boundary.
Given the recent global geopolitical shifts that we have seen, the term deglobalization is coming up more and more often. Are you the last person to believe in a globalization?
Well, I hope not. I think, again, it's not globalization or deglobalization. I try to stay away from dualistic terms, terms that are positive energy and help us create from the future are the words that I prefer to use. The words that speak to people's hearts, like livability, thrivability, right? Those types of words will draw people into helping us go to the future that we want. I think deglobalization is one side of a coin. The other way to look at it is how can we be more agile, resilient, self-sufficient? And when I work with, for example, countries like the sovereign indigenous nation of Hawaii, they are dealing with a situation where 90% of their food is imported from abroad to a small island. Colonialism in the last 150 years has broken apart their communal land, so they can't farm as easily. They can't be self-sufficient. And so I think the other way to look at it is we're all tornadoes in a multi-vortex tornado that is humanity. The other thing that I'll say is I don't think we're deglobalizing. I think that there are more and more multilateral and bilateral positive relationships being created. It's just that the players have changed. And so China, especially with the war right now, shutting off a lot of the China-European rail lines, we're more and more turning to aiding our brothers and sisters in African nations, in Southeast Asia. And so the players have changed. Globalization is still here. It's just we have to remember we're multi-vortex tornado.
What do you think a global long-term solution, or rather a coming together, could look like?
I think coming together for me, as I said in my speech, is really about envisioning the future that we want. How do we be Willy Wonka, who created the chocolate factory? How can we be James Cameron, that created the Avatar movie and the Pandora world together? Let's just start together, and with storytellers and movie directors or painters, let's envision every detail of what streets look like. What does sharing food look like together? What does our children playing with the elderly look like together? Let's paint a picture of the thriving world that we want, and then I think everything will magically, subconsciously manifest. We don't have to really worry about how to get there. Like China declaring that we're going to be carbon neutral by 2060. Do they know how exactly they're going to get there? No. But it's a will and it's a dream of an ecological civilization. And so let's start with dreaming together.
Thanks for being with us, Peggy.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.